Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Stafford Report. Today we're going to be talking a lot about SkillsUSA. My name is Cindy Dunnigan. I'm the outreach coordinator at Stafford, and I'm responsible for recruitment and working with middle schoolers, helping sophomores make the decision if Stafford is right for them. So I have a few students with me here today, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves, starting right here with you. Your name, what school you're from, and what program you're in.
My name is Kellen Beaudry. I'm from Rutland High School, and I'm in the Public Safety Criminal Justice program.
I'm Riley LaFontaine. I'm also from Rutland High School, and I'm in the Public Safety and Criminal Justice program.
And my name's Lauren Palmer. I go to Proctor High School, and I am also in Public Safety and Criminal Justice.
In fact, the reason that I brought these three students is that they competed as a team for SkillsUSA in the Vermont state competitions. Before we get into how they ended up there, let's talk about how they ended up at Stafford. Kellen, what made you decide to choose Stafford?
Well, I thought it was a good opportunity to do something different than traditional high school, and I figured that it was better to have that base education, graduating, than graduating from high school and not having any idea.
And what is it that you are looking to do after high school?
Right now I'm interested in the fire service and becoming a firefighter. Yep.
Excellent. Riley, how did you end up at Stafford?
I've known the program teacher for a while, and I've always had some kind of interest in criminal justice, law enforcement, and when the opportunity came, I took it, and now I love it, and it's made my want for this kind of field more.
Okay, and Lauren?
So I found out about Stafford from my older sister. She was in the health careers program, and I looked into it, and I've always known I wanted to go into law enforcement. I actually want to be a game warden, and I knew that being in the program would help me make connections all around Vermont, all around the state, and just further my education to get me that step ahead of everyone else. So.
And is it working out the way you thought it was?
It's definitely working out.
Excellent. So all of these students as sophomores, myself and the director of Stafford, Melissa Connor, went out to their schools and spoke to the sophomore class, explained to them some of the advantages of choosing Stafford, things like earning college credits while you're still in high school, earning industry recognized credentials, which are credentials that are clearly recognized by the industry. So they're different for every program because the industry recognized credentials that these students learn are different than the ones that our cosmetology students learn or our auto body students learn. So they are skills that employers are looking for. I know that these students do a lot of FEMA certifications. They get certified in basic life support, first aid, CPR, any of those types of things that they might need. I'm sure Kellen's working on fire safety. Yep. So that's what that's all about. And so they all heard the spiel and decided to apply. They filled out an application. They came for a visit. They stayed for a half day in the program or programs that they were showing interest in. The instructor gave feedback on their performance during that visit. It went to a team which reviews the applications, and then finally they received a letter in the mail saying that they were accepted to Stafford. They were invited to a signing night to sign their letter of intent, and they started at Stafford. They're all second-year students in their same program. So midway through their first year, they started hearing about SkillsUSA, and they probably had no idea what SkillsUSA was. SkillsUSA is a career tech student organization. It is a national organization. It is huge. So their first introduction was in Vermont. There are competitions held. In Vermont, we host about 106 competitions. It varies a little from year to year. Last year, 72 Stafford students competed in 37 different competitions. So some events are team events, some events are single events, and some students compete in a leadership competition as well as a skills competition. So these three formed a team And Kellen, tell us what your competition was.
The three of us competed in the CSI competition, the crime scene investigating competition.
Riley, what did you have to do for your competition in Vermont?
We had to do like photos, a sketch, collect evidence for a mock crime scene in Bennington. And we competed against 3 other teams.
And Lauren, tell me how you felt that morning when you got on that bus really early to go down to Bennington to do this competition that you knew very little about.
So we had only practiced a couple of times. We weren't really expecting to win going into it. We were going into it, we're like, we're just gonna have fun. We're gonna try to work together, try to learn new things. And obviously all 3 of us were nervous, but we didn't really expect much from it. We were kind of just going in there to see what it was like.
Just to check it out.
Just to check it out.
So you competed on a Wednesday, and Thursday we just waited and waited and waited, right? And then Friday we went to a luncheon in Killington, and on Friday at that luncheon they started announcing the competition, the bronze medal, the silver medal, the gold medal. And how many teams did you compete against?
2.
2 other ones.
So there were 3 teams
total.
and 3 medals. So you didn't win bronze.
Nope.
You didn't win silver. And that's really the moment when you know.
Yeah.
Except for this one little thing. SkillsUSA believes in using cut scores. So you could have the highest score and still only get a silver medal. So you still had that slight chance that you didn't medal at all, that you hadn't earned enough points during the competition. But that's not how it worked out. They won their gold medal for crime scene investigation. So clearly, even though you say you didn't practice much, your baseline skills you had learned in program got you there.
Yeah.
So you talked about taking crime scene photographs and collecting evidence. So these are things that you're doing in your program?
Yep.
So you set up mock crime scenes.
Yeah.
Lauren, you look like you want to say something.
So our first semester of school, we went through forensics college class. And that's when we started to learn about the different types of evidence that's out there, like hair, blood, trace evidence, all about it. And that's when we started talking about crime scene investigation. And that's when we started to practice a little bit, and Detective Sergeant McNeil actually came in and helped us practice and really gave us some information and some things to help us do crime scene investigation that I feel like is what really helped us win.
So that is
Definitely.
another benefit of Stafford is each program area has a program advisory board made up of people who work in the industry who advise the programs on the skills that are needed, maybe the technical skills or certain software programs that our students might see when they go out and get employed in the field. So he is on the advisory board, and he had come in and worked with you all, and it sounds like that was very beneficial. So winning it in Vermont is exciting, but it led to something else, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you win a gold medal at the state level, you are invited to compete at the national level. So before we talk about that, I want to give you a little bit of data that I actually just received in an email yesterday from SkillsUSA. So the national competition is the National Leadership and Skills Competition. It's held in Atlanta, Georgia. There is an accompanying trade show where near the competition areas, trade vendors are allowed to set up booths that are related to that. So if you're in the construction building, you will see major construction companies, you'll see equipment manufacturers, tool manufacturers, lots of displays set up around the area. That trade show occupied 41 acres, which is equal to about 31 football fields. And you all had a chance to walk around it. Large?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of
Yeah.
the biggest things I've ever seen. There were 6,540 competitors competing in 115 competitions at nationals. There were 17,800 registered skills people. So in addition to your competitors, you have advisors, there are judges, there are contest managers, chaperones, all kinds of people that kind of come with those competitors. The SkillsUSA week brings about $28 million to the city of Atlanta and 40,000 hotel nights. So we were there 5 nights.
Yeah.
We left on Monday, so we were there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We were there for 5 nights. Over those 5 nights, so we showed up on a Monday. We got into Atlanta a little bit late. First flight for anyone? Riley's first time on an airplane. How did that go?
The flight there was definitely scary in a way because it was my first flight and I was very nervous. But then on the way home, I was looking out the window and giggling and all happy and yeah.
Yeah. So there were 18 of us who went to nationals, 4 advisors and 14 students from just from Stafford. The Vermont group was around 100 that came from all the tech centers in Vermont. SkillsUSA is open only to students who are enrolled in career tech education. There is a post-secondary component as well who are at tech schools after high school, and there is a small middle school component as well. So the 18 of us traveled by bus to Hartford and by plane to Atlanta, and then it was like planes, trains, and automobiles, right? Only there were no automobiles. Yeah. We got on a plane, we got to Atlanta, we had to take the shuttle train inside the airport, and then we had to take the MARTA, the Atlanta public transport. We took a train into Atlanta, and then we walked to our hotel, and we got settled. And that was a big day. We had a Vermont State meeting that night, we got Vermont t-shirts, we had no dinner that night, but we all got together as the Vermont contingent. We figured out where students needed to be and when. So you all had to go to an orientation on Tuesday. Tell me a little bit about the orientation, Lauren.
I feel like the orientation was one of the more stressful parts because it's your first time going into anything and you don't really know what to expect. And right after our orientation, like 15-30 minutes after, we had our first part of our competition, which was our written test. So you're just sitting there during your orientation. For me at least, I was just sitting there thinking about the test. Like that's all I could think about during the whole thing was we got the test next. That's a big part of our competition. So.
And Kellen, how did it feel when you went into that room? And it wasn't just orientation for crime scene investigation, was it?
No, there was CJ too.
So there was criminal justice students. There were a lot of people in there. Yeah. Like for the first time, you're seeing your competition.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
I mean, that's when we took the test too. So sitting in that room with that many people, just silent, it was a little intimidating.
I
didn't really know how to feel about it.
I imagine it was.
Yeah.
So you get through your test. The next thing up was your actual crime scene, which I believe was Wednesday or Thursday. Thursday. So on Thursday, you had to report to an area in one of those giant buildings in those 31 football fields. You had to find the right place, which we had taken you to and shown you. And you went in. We have a picture of some of you getting dressed in your protective clothing that maybe they'll show. And you did your crime scene investigation. You finished up everything you had to do. We were worried that you were going to have to sit there all day, which has happened in the past where they don't let competitors leave the area. But you were able to leave, and you came out of it, and how did you feel?
Stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Relieved, though,
yeah, that it was over.
We did it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just you go in there and you do a crime scene. It's you have your crime scene processing, and then all three of us got split up and we had to each do our own thing with collecting evidence. And then we went back together and we had to do an analysis type section looking at a bunch of evidence. And then the last part is all paperwork. So it's not, when people say crime scene investigation, a lot of people just think, oh, you go in there, you process the scene, you collect the evidence, and you're done. But it was a lot more than that.
So advisors aren't allowed to see the crime scene. We're not allowed to have any contact with you, no eye contact. You're pretty much on your own.
Yep.
Is it like it is on TV? Is CSI, is it really that glamorous?
No.
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 Not at all, no.
But it didn't change your minds about your career paths.
Right.
Did it help solidify what
Yeah.
you want to do?
For me, it did.
Well,
Even if it changed your mind?
it definitely changed the mind, but found something that I like better, so.
Lauren?
I don't know, I feel like the game warden type of stuff, like, yes, you're dealing with search and rescue sometimes, but it's not really, you know, it's usually not crime scene with people.
True.
So
you might have to look at an animal
Yeah.
that maybe was harvested out of season or something like that in that field. So after your competition, we had to wait. SkillsUSA is big on the waiting. I feel like there's a lot of waiting.
yeah.
The award ceremony for nationals was on Friday night. As I recall, it was hot. The line was long to get in, right?
Yeah.
Remembering all this?
Oh, I remember.
And then you have to wait. And there's so many competitions. What did I say? 115. Some of them have secondary and post-secondary. We waited a long time to hear your results. And unfortunately, you did not finish in the top 3. So you were not up on the stage getting a medal. Would you do it again?
yes.
Absolutely.
Are you planning on doing it this year? Are you going to compete as the same team in the same competition?
Yep.
Think so.
And hopefully get the same results.
But do better at nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same results for the Vermont competition, but do better at nationals.
Yep.
That's the plan?
Yep.
Do you feel more confident going into this, having gone through the whole process as first-year students?
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
So part of the issue in competing nationally is that some of the students that you're competing next to come from states where they have a 4-year program. Their career tech ed starts in the 9th grade. So you could be next to a team from Massachusetts, which is one of the states that starts in 9th grade, competing against seniors who've had 4 years of not only the training and education, but 4 opportunities to compete at their state level or even at the national level. So I can't be any more proud of all the hard work that you did to end up at nationals. You know, Vermont is a small state, but we do have a number of career tech ed, and even if you were only competing against 3 teams total, 2 other teams, as I mentioned before, we do use a cut score. The score has to be above 800 to get a bronze medal. And there's different competitions use different numbers, but you have to be above a certain level to even get a gold medal. I'm incredibly proud of all 3 of you. I am Stafford one of 2 school-wide SkillsUSA advisors. My cohort is Melissa Patterson, who's an English teacher. We've divided up the roles and responsibilities involved in being skills advisors in a way that works really well for us. I provide the students with a lot of information about their competitions. I'm the one who watches the national website for updates to competitions or information they need ahead of time. One of the things we haven't talked about, all of these students had to create a resume and submit a resume not only for their state level competition, but for their national competition. And these are all things that, on the one hand, they're a competition, they're fun, they're challenging. It's really a way to show what you know, to demonstrate what you've learned. It's an opportunity to shine in the field that they've been studying. The The major benefit to participating in SkillsUSA is it's a confidence builder. Even when you lose, the fact that students are pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone, that they're challenging themselves in ways that can feel scary and intimidating, a little overwhelming. When they're done, they're so proud of themselves. Me being proud of them is a bonus, but my goal for students is to feel proud of themselves, to feel like I can do hard things. I can put my emotions aside and focus and demonstrate my knowledge. Do you feel like your confidence got a little boost in pushing yourself through this whole process?
Yeah.
I feel like it definitely has, because like I said, going into it, we didn't really expect much. We didn't think that we were gonna do good. And then realizing that we won for state level, we kind of just sat there when they called us and kind of just looked at each other, because we didn't really think it was really happening. And then when you walk out, that's when you really realize, that's when it really sets in that you just accomplished something that big. So I feel like it was definitely eye-opening to realize that we could do it.
I want to ask you about Atlanta outside of the competition. Think back to that week in Atlanta. I want you to think of a high point. Like, we did a lot of things outside of the competition area. Lauren, high point of the trip to Atlanta.
I think one of the high points was, it was one of the last days we were there. All of our competitions were done. All of us had gotten done doing our tests, our orientation, like I said, our competition, our debrief session, and we all just went to Olympic Park together, and we all kind of just hung out, and it was nice to kind of decompress. We all went to the Ferris wheel. We got food together, I think. And it was kind of nice to just decompress and relax, because the whole time it's like, okay, I got to be here at this time. I got to be doing this. I got to be in this building. And it was definitely a lot. So
I believe that's the night that I got a text that said, come to the park. And all the advisors came down to the park, and our 14 students were playing in the fountain. They were soaking wet. And the adult in me just went, oh, you have to pack those sneakers tomorrow. Riley, what was a high point for you?
I made a friend from Kentucky, and I still talk to her.
That is excellent. Was she in crime scene?
Yep. She was.
Awesome. Kellen.
I think for me it was the Champions Festival. I think that night was very fun.
So that was Wednesday night in Olympic Park.
Yeah.
There were games, music, dancing.
The food trucks.
Food trucks, many, many food trucks.
Fireworks.
None of you mentioned pin trading.
I got into pin trading. I
Pin
definitely
trading
hustled some people.
It got
in
rough.
trading.
It got rough. So SkillsUSA does pin trading. Some people are familiar with that at Disney. The pin design competition is a state level competition. The person who designs the gold medal pin, that pin is produced, and all of the Vermont students get 10 of these pins to trade. And of course, the goal is always to get all 50 states and to get Navajo Nation and some of the other special pins that are out there. We did have an advisor. Melissa Patterson ended up with 48 out of the 50 states on her pin towel, so she was excited about that. It's really a way to get students talking to each other, and it sounds, when I explain it to students for the first time, it always sounds a little crazy, and they just kind of look at me like, what now? I'm gonna do okay. And they just kind of, But in reality, it does get fun, and everyone at Skills is kind of walking around, and you'll have a lanyard on with your pins, and people say, oh, are you pin trading? And next thing you know, you're in a conversation with someone that you might have never spoken to. How many people do you think you talked to for pin trading?
A lot.
Definitely a lot.
More than 30?
Probably.
A lot more than that.
Yeah.
Because you'll be minding your own business trying to walk to your competition or something, and then someone comes up to you and they're like, oh, what state are you from? Are you pin trading? And at first, I didn't think I was going to get into it, but I definitely did.
And what about the hats?
Oh my gosh. I had some random guy on the street offer me $250 for my hat.
The hats, the Vermont hats this year were bucket hats with a Holstein print, horns and cow ears, and the Vermont State Skills logo on the front. And hat trading also becomes a thing. The Vermont has used these hats 3 years in a row now, I think, and they have been wildly popular with all the other states. We also, while we were there, we visited the Georgia Aquarium, which is the largest aquarium in the United States. And that was a lot of fun. It's quite an opportunity to get to see something like that. Some of the students went to World of Coke, where they were able to taste Coke from all over the world. And mostly what they did was they just had fun hanging out together. I know one of the first things these three wanted to know was, can we go back next year? Can we go back next year? And I'm like, you have to win gold at states first. There's no guarantees, but I think that they are motivated to do their very best. I think they're pushing themselves to do just a little bit better than last year. And overall, I think they would recommend SkillsUSA to their peers. They've already talked to their first-year students in their program. And do you have any last words about skills, your competition, your program? A shout out to your instructor.
Shout out to June Kelly. I know you're watching this. She will be.
She will be.
Oh, she will be.
And I feel like even though we didn't come top 3 when it came to nationals, just going there and seeing what we had to do and what some of the possibilities of what we had to do were, that's definitely gonna help us prepare for states again this year.
Any last thoughts, Riley?
No.
Valid answer. So I want to thank all three of you for coming on the show with me today and talking about skills. SkillsUSA is just one of the many opportunities that are available to students who choose Stafford Technical Education for part of their high school. You okay there, Kellen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we look forward to bringing you the Stafford Report throughout the year this year, and we will be learning about a lot of the other opportunities that are available at Stafford. Thank you so much for watching.